Welcome back to the Wild Meta Snapshot Breakdown for mid-March. Over the past few weeks, a lot of events have occurred to influence the Wild metagame. The Wild Brawliseum brought attention to the format, and many professional players and streamers dove in to experience Wild for themselves. Alongside this introduction to the format, the Wild Open preliminary and regional rounds were held, where the best Wild players, along with other strong players of the game, faced off to see who would emerge victorious. With this much influence on the format, the metagame shifted a bit from our last snapshot. Let's take a look. Giant Lock remains an extremely polarizing deck and is still the deck that largely shapes the meta. However, through a lot of play and testing, it was determined that there are a few decks that take advantage of the rift that Giant Lock creates in the general metagame. At the forefront, Jade Druid is the strongest version of the controlling Druid archetype. Having the core set of anti-aggro cards with the Oaken Summons package along with Poison Seeds, the deck can fare well against every deck in the metagame. It fends off aggro with its intense amount of armor game with Oaken Summons, Branching Paths, and Malfurion, and can contest the late-game decks with its ability to ramp up its Jades to be considerable threats. Add in the versatility to contest a turn 5 Giants board with Poison Seeds, and the deck showcases why it's the primary threat on the ladder at the moment. There are also some additional variants of Jade Druid which exist on the ladder, most notably Fatigue Druid, which forgoes the majority of Jade-generating cards for extra removal. Dude Paladin has been able to combat the oppressive turn 5 Giant swings with Equality, which is a must-include in the deck. The deck has the ability to flood the board against the rest of the aggressive decks in the meta, which really inhibits their current strategy of dealing consistent chip damage then burning the opponent out. If your opponents struggle to put on that initial pressure, then their burn spells don't have enough reach, and the overwhelming board presence that Dude Paladin provides with Quartermaster and Sunkeeper Tarim can shut them down. Other powerful cards in this deck are the typical Paladin staples of Shielded Minibot, Muster for Battle, and Call to Arms. Divine Favor has become more of a one-of in these types of Paladin decks as of recently, because it's typically not a good card in the mirror matchup, and the ladder's filled with Paladin players. At the end of Tier 1 lies Cube Lock and Giants Lock, the Control Warlock brothers. Both run consistent core of demons and removal, while Giants Lock runs the more explosive Naga and Giants package, and Cube Lock runs more death rattle minions like the Cube, Sylvanas, and Unzoth. While a good chunk of the meta revolves around the explosive ability for Giants Lock to have a full board of 8/8s on turn 5, we place Cube Lock ahead of it in our tier list because the meta is composed of decks geared to contest these Giants boards. Cube Lock handles itself a bit better when faced with the current meta of hyper aggro and decks that run monstrous board clears. If a deck can handle the first large wave of Giants Lock, it's often difficult to provide enough pressure to finish out the game. And Cube Lock does a better job in spacing out its threats to absorb these removals until it's too late and a board swing from Unzoth and Gul'dan seal the game out. Overall, the introduction of more players to the format, along with the refinement that experienced Wild players made while preparing for the Wild Open, pushed the metagame to its next stage, where decks can contest not only Giants Lock, but also the decks that do well against Giants Lock as well. It's refreshing to see these changes, especially with how late we are into the season. It'll be interesting to see how the meta changes as time goes along, especially with the announcement of the Witchwood earlier this week. If you enjoyed this meta snapshot breakdown, leave us a like and favorite, and be sure to subscribe to stay tuned to all of Tempo Storm's news and upcoming Hearthstone content. Thanks for watching.